Anyone who's ever shot a video has made mistakes. And in today's video, we're going to cover 7 super common video mistakes so that you can avoid them. Now, number 7 is really easy to forget about, so make sure you stick around to the end to hear about mistake number 7 so you don't have these in your videos. This video is not going to be so much about like the technical details of the video filming, like if you got bad audio, bad lighting, but this is going to be more about your content. We're going to talk about your content, how to make that better, how to avoid mistakes so that you increase retention, so that you increase conversion if there's some sort of conversion you're hoping for out of your videos, or maybe just content marketing that gives education pieces to long-term conversions. You want to make the algorithms happy so that the social media, YouTube algorithms see that your videos are well produced and put together so that they want to push them out organically. And then overall, you just want to make your video shine so that when people see your video come up, they know it's going to have good content and it's going to be engaging to watch. So thanks for tuning in. My name is Tony Anczer. I'm a real estate agent in the Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland region. I also serve as a real estate coach to other agents. And if you're interested in joining our Agent Wolfpack or seeing what is involved with that, all for free, check the link below at agentwolfpackgroup.com. I always like to plug one thing about our group in each video, and one thing that I get a lot of value out of is every Tuesday we have our team call where we just talk about new things we're seeing in the industry to really help agents shine. All right, so we're almost at mistake number 1, but before diving into that, I just want to talk about the different video types. You got short form, you got medias that delete after 24 hours like Snapchat, you got long form, like YouTube, or what a lot of content creators will do is they'll take longer form videos and then cut that up so you just have one session of making content and put those out onto the short form such as TikToks, Instagram Reels. So with video, you just have so many options as to where you can put that out on your Facebook business page. Something that my assistant's starting to do with our content is to cut it up and put it on the other channels to make. So you sit down, make one longer form, and then you can cut that into other video fragments for other social medias. All right, mistake number 1. Mistake number 1 is having a bad intro. And really what that is like, what does a bad intro mean? So when you have an intro, you want to hook your audience right away. You want to tell them what the video is going to be about and who the audience is for. You always want to think about who exactly you're looking for. And then you want to stay on topic because it's easy to, as you get moving along in your video, to kind of lose your logic string. So you want to stay consistent to where your video is. So they're going to get hooked, and then the content that you create after that is just going to provide the information that you hooked them on, and then you always want to leave them to give them some sort of reason to stay on to the end, just kind of like I did. And it's like, hey, number 7 is really easy to forget, so make sure you stick around for that one. So you always want to have a good intro to tell people exactly what they're looking for, what they're going to get in this video, and you want to give them a reason to stick around to the end. So what happens, like on mistake number 1, is you have a bad intro. It could be something like you'll see, hey, the video starts and then they'll be like, hi, welcome to Tony's Real Estate Channel. This is episode 6 of 300. We are going through a series on video improvements. And by that time, people have lost interest. Most people are just so used to scrolling through. Something doesn't hook them right away. Then they just move on to the next video. And so once that happens, the algorithm sees that people will see the first little bit of your video and then they bounce. And then after that, the YouTube and other algorithms will stop pushing out your video as much because they want videos that the audience are going to engage and view and consume all or most of the video. So you need to hook them in and keep fulfilling on what you hooked them on so that they stay on, because the more that people stay on, the more YouTube and other channels will keep pushing your video out and you get organic growth. Studies show that if someone watches the first 3 seconds of your video, then they're very likely to watch 30 seconds. And so that first 3 seconds is when you want to hook them. And then in that 30 seconds, you really need to keep building anticipation and start giving them the value right off the bats. Then once you get settled in, then you could maybe stretch out add your stories, or don't have to be as just left, right, smacking in the face with information, because once they're hooked, then they know that, hey, this video is good. It's what I want to listen to. So then I'll get out of scrolling mode and get into engaging mode. There's this book I read that was on the psychology of sales, and they were saying that before you can sell anybody on anything, you need to get through the first level of logic, which is, hey, why should I not? The first hurdle you have to get over is people naturally, they maybe aren't thinking about it actively, but in the back of their mind, they're like, hey, give me reason to bounce off of this. I just want to make sure that I'm only seeing stuff that's good for me that I want to see. So you got to get them past the bounce mode. And then once you get past the bounce mode, then they'll start engaging into your content. And so once that first 30 seconds is really geared to, you got to hit the content hard and be straight to the point so that people see that, okay, this is what I want to watch. And then they get out of that flight mode and they get into the engage and consume mode. Mistake number 2 is no call to actions or bad call to actions. So what that could be is like if you have a long phone number and you're like, oh, hey, please reach out to our waiting for your phone call at area code 317-862-5231. With that, it's so slow that people are going to start losing interest, and then no one's going to remember that anyway. So you want to have your call to actions very clear. Like it could be like, hey, give us a call. Information's on the screen right now and link below. So that'd be like an example of a good call to action. Or, hey, see the link here or link below. Or, hey, if you're getting any value out of this, please share this with a friend. Those are all quick things that people understand how to do. And so you want to be able to give them a call to action that's easy to do. And your call to action obviously needs to be clear as to what you're asking for. Are you asking them to subscribe to the video? Are you asking them to like? Maybe it's a couple of those things, but you need to be very clear. And sometimes you need to pepper that a couple times in your video. And if you don't have any call to action, you're just really losing an opportunity to get more engagement out of your videos. Because if you ask them to subscribe and they're interested in your channel, they may subscribe, but they otherwise may have not even thought to do. If they're just scrolling through a video and it comes up as a suggested video, they might watch your entire video, think it's super awesome, maybe the best video they've ever seen, but the thought to subscribe never crossed their mind. So when you suggest that to subscribe, then they'll be like, oh, that's a great idea, I'll subscribe, and then I'll get updated when you put out another related video. Mistake number 3, needlessly long pauses. No, that was a little awkward, wasn't it? That was a needlessly long pause. And so, you don't need to have like this one big run-on sentence where its information is just pack. In the first 30 seconds-ish, you want to have pretty condensed information. But as your video goes on, you want to have a nice cadence. You want to take, a break, a pause here and there, but not a super long one. You want to have a good cadence so that people can find a rhythm to your video, that they can understand the pace that the video is coming in. Because if it's just too fast a content, then it can stress out the consumer. There's one channel I like watching, but the guy's so fast that it puts you kind of on edge because it's straight content and you can't consume it all at fast. So I have to put it on 0.75 so I can really digest what he's saying. Yeah, and too long of a break can just give somebody an opportunity to bounce. Because if you have your video at a nice cadence, like in this one, I'm trying to have a very consistent speed to the video. But if you start changing the speed of the video, then it can give people a thought, a time to think about bouncing off that they otherwise wouldn't have if you just have a nice consistent speed to your video. Kind of like if you listen to music, it's got a nice pace, but all of a sudden if that pace starts changing back and forth, it's just going to feel kind of weird, and it may give you the inkling to just change the channel on the radio or just press next on your song list. Yeah, so again, you just need a good healthy balance of a good cadence, but you also want to have content that you continue to be giving content and not going off on tangent stories that aren't really related. You want to keep giving value the entire time. And if you're going to tell a story, maybe give a framework as to why you're telling the story, because sometimes a story can seem like you get off topic. And so somebody may not understand that unless you hook them before your story so that they have reason to stick around to see what the end of, what was the point of that story. Mistake number 5. We call this cheap laughs. And so what that is it's, when you're in an industry, it's easy to have inside jokes. Like in real estate, it's easy to make jokes about the crazy buyer, the crazy seller, and tell stories about that. Especially this video is geared from agent to agent. And so we have an inside connection as to, jokes I might be inclined to tell about horrible buyers and sellers experiences. But really what you don't really want to go down that path, because you want your videos to be something that people see that's high up above board, that's of a high ethical standing where you don't want to be taking cheap shots. You don't want to be associated with that. So again, even though it's real easy for and be able to commiserate over bad buyer seller experiences, let's try not to make jokes about that. The actual end consumer, because that's just going to paint your brand in a bad picture. You could tell stories about how you had a bad experience and then how you made it a good experience at the end of the transaction. Or if you just tell a story about how something didn't work out or you had a crazy buyer and seller, that's fine. But make sure you don't poke jokes at your end consumer, because at the end of the day, we're professionals that without these end consumers, we wouldn't be in business. So we just want to have a good brand where we're just building everybody up all the time. All right, mistake number 6 is I'm calling competing messages. And there's a saying that perfection is achieved when there's nothing left to be taken away. And so, like, what this means in their video is that is your content, is there any part of the content that really didn't need to be there? And if there's something that was a tangent that wasn't related, like let's cut that out of the video. You want your videos to be to the point and keep adding value the entire time. Again, otherwise this goes back to people bouncing off. So make sure you do the pre-work to be full of content and not have any filler. And actually, my training is I'm a civil engineer by schooling and initial trade. And for me, I actually had to get a little less out of engineer mode, because in engineering school and in that career path, you're taught to make your writing as short as possible, just give the executive summary, the points 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you do get it that condensed, then you're not having background to your points that will paint a picture as to how to apply. So you want to, so when you have your points, you want to make sure that obviously your point is clear, so you get your point across. You make your points. You need to contextualize your points. So, you might say interest rates are high. Okay, what does that mean? Like, in what time frame? Like, as of today, we're at 6.5-ish. That is high compared to a year ago. But in the grand long scheme, 6.5 is not all that bad. So putting contextualization around something being good or bad or whatnot is always good. And then you want to give implementation too. So if you just want to be like, all right, now that we learned this, go implement. Why don't you give an example? So let's use interest rates again. Right now, they are a lot higher than what buyers are used to. So a lot are on the sideline. And so you could be like, hey, now that interest rates have risen, our action items as realtors, one of the things we need to do is inform our buyers as to why they are high. A lot of buyers are sitting on the sidelines thinking rates are coming back down, but they're really not. There's no writing on the wall that they're going to be coming down soon, and home values are still expected to climb in value this year in 2023. So if we know that as agents, then it behooves us, as in the best interest of our buyers, to tell them, to educate them on this, so that they don't just wait longer waiting for rates to come back down, because they don't look like they're going to be. And if they wait another year, they're just going to have to pay another, say, 10% for the same house. So they're not going to be in a better position. So our takeaway on this is, hey, educate your buyers that it's not coming down any soon. And if they wait longer, they're just going to pay more for the same house, or they might get priced out of the house. If they needed a 4-bedroom, if they wait another year in the region you're in, they might not be able to afford a 4, and they're going to have to be stuck with the 3. So those are, give clear action items as to how to implement your videos. One quote I love from Jim Rohn is he says, "Don't let your education lead to knowledge, let it lead to action." And that's really what you want to think about when you're putting your points in your video together. Is obviously you want to educate your viewers, but you also want to give them ways to implement. Because if you do that, then they're going to have action items right away they can implement, and that's going to add more value to your content, so that they're not just learning something, but they're learning how to implement. And a lot of times, a lot of viewers will learn these implementation things and not even realize it, because you've just explained it clearly to them, and they'll have these action items right away, as opposed to if you just gave education, they might know something better, but not really know how to convey that to the buyer or seller, or to do whatever they need to do to help their clients. So in summary on this point, your videos how long should they be? They should be as short as they need to be to get your points across clearly. All right, mistake number 7. This is the the one that I was saying earlier, that this one's easy to forget about, because it's not really like a hard and fast just rule. This one is like they call it the something hurt. And what I mean by that is that you see so many videos that would have great content, but the presenter, they're usually they're when you're presenting, especially as you're doing newer in the videos, you're just worried about just not saying too many times, or you're thinking your head's in like 8 different spots, like did I hit record or is the microphone on? And so you're giving your content, but you can end up being very stone faced and just talking your points 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you do that, that's obviously not really engaging for your consumer, whoever's gonna be watching your video. So mistake number 7 is, as again we say, does something hurt? Don't make your videos look like that when somebody's watching, they're like, is something hurt? Like, is something hurting Tony right now that he's talking so monotone? So that's what it is. It's just kind of almost obvious one, but you miss it because when you're watching your own videos, you're usually so just keyed in as to, all right, is my content good? Is my cadence good? Is the lighting good? But really, you need to make it personable by having some good stories and stuff and implementation. You can't just be facts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But even more important than that is that you need to be animated. You need to have body language, because if you just sit here and talk like this, it's going to sound like you're not interested in your content. And you need to be able to convey, because again, there's so much. I think it's like over half of your communication is nonverbal. So when people are watching your videos, what they see out of your body language communicates so much more than if they were just to listen to what you were saying. So again, once you're on video, use that opportunity to convey as much information as you can to help your consumer, whoever's watching your video. And a big part of that is just by your body language and being animated while recording. So there you have it. There's the 7 super common video mistakes to avoid. Video is an amazing medium, and I want to see you leverage it. I'd love to hear which one of these points you implement in your video. Please send a comment below. I respond to 100% of the comments. And if of the 7 mistakes that I listed, then comment below which one do you think is the biggest, or do you think I missed one? I'd love to hear that too. I'd love to maybe implement some thoughts that you have too. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.